Hey, vocabulary list number 4. We've done this a lot, right? You know the drill. You can find the link to the synonyms, antonyms. It's all right on Google Classroom. Also, the list is right here. I forgot how many words, 13 maybe, something like that. 10, only 10, only 10. So you're picking 8. So you might have that sheet in front of you right now. You might be able to get that out of the way as I go through these 10. You just need 8. So let's take a look at the first one. It is pronounced obsolete. Obsolete. And you can see the definition right there. Out of date, no longer in use. So one thing that I think we could say, although a lot of people are holding on to them, but like the house phone, as long as every member of the house has a cell phone, well, that's pretty common these days. The house phone might be obsolete. Like, why do you need a house phone? Um, in this, at least in Lewis and Auburn, okay, maybe in other parts of the country, not so. But like the horse and buggy, how people used to get around a while ago, that's obsolete. People have cars, we have buses, taxis, much quicker. So if a piece of technology has made it just useless, like you just don't need it, another word for that is obsolete. Think about Blu-rays. So when I was younger, it was like a VHS, right? If I wanted to watch a movie, it's one of those rectangular things. Nobody uses that anymore. Then it became DVDs. They looked like CDs. You see, they're all obsolete right now. Everything digital. You can stream it. You can stream your music. You can stream movies. All that physical stuff is obsolete. Next one is one of my favorites. Don't worry about that ad there, Williams Sonoma. Apathy is the next one. Lack of interest or emotion. Well, I've been teaching middle school long enough to know that a lot of middle school students are apathetic. So, apathetic is the adjective to describe people. Apathy is what you have. So, I hope this isn't the case for you, but you may have apathy towards English class. Means you just don't care. You don't care. Apathetic is the way to describe you, but if you have it, it's apathy. So the student was very apathetic towards English class. The student had apathy towards English class. I hope that's not true. Probably it is, though, right? Middle school. Come on. You have better things to think about than English class. Video games, guys, girls, whatever you're into. School for a lot of people is pretty low on the list, unfortunately. Not all though, not all. All right, the next one is let me make it bigger because it's a weird one. Starts the P, but we pronounce that word pseudonym. Pseudonym. And what is it? It's a fake name, mostly used by authors. Okay. My favorite, I don't have any of his books around here. My favorite author, Stephen King, right? Love Stephen King. Love The Stand, love The Green Mile. So many. But for a couple of years back in like the 1980s, he wrote under a pseudonym. The name he chose was Richard Bachman. So a lot of people, if they want to remain anonymous, man, in the morning, I'm still dealing with that sickness. Having to clear my throat a lot. So a pseudonym, anytime somebody uses a fake name, sometimes you'll hear a pen name, but a pseudonym is a fake name. Let's say there's a famous like musician. Who's the most famous? I don't even know. Rihanna. I heard she has a lot of Instagram followers. Billie Eilish or whatever. So let's say they're playing a concert in Dallas. But if you're Rihanna and you check into a hotel, all of your fans will know, wait, Rihanna staying there? So a lot of times they use pseudonyms to check into hotels. So people don't know it's them. Fake name, pseudonym, that's all that is. Next one, oh, belligerent. Belligerent. And that means hostile or aggressive. So, like, very angry. And one of the first ways I hear belligerent used is when you're talking about a belligerent drunk. And drop by drop, we've been talking about Brenda. Maybe she is getting drunk. She did sneak some wine, right? But if when someone drinks a lot and they get really angry and they want to fight, we would call them a belligerent drunk. Belligerent can be an adjective, or it can be the way to like call that person. They are belligerent. That would still be the adjective. Yeah. Yeah. So it's always an adjective. So another way is Karens of the world. The Karens of the world who I want to see that manager. You know, they might be belligerent, getting aggressive. What do you mean? You didn't give me my fries with my order. I want my fries. And they get all mad. Belligerent. Okay. Hostile, aggressive. The next one, I think it's a review. Universal. Universal. Anytime you see uni, UNI, think of one. Well, we might have luckily I don't, but a unibrow, unicorn, uniform. So let's take McDonald's, right? Everybody works there. They should be wearing the same thing. They're all wearing like one thing, uniform, military, police officers, uniform. Luckily, teachers don't have a uniform. I can wear this shirt today. Yesterday, I wore, a sweatshirt. We don't have to all dress the same. But universal also means one. So often, what's our definition is throughout the world. Throughout the world. So often that means everyone thinks the same way. Again, this is review, but I think the example I used before was a universal thought was COVID pretty much is crap, right? Nobody likes COVID. I don't think anybody thinks COVID did a good thing for the world. So it's universally known that COVID is bad. Um, what about like gun control? Gun control in the United States, that's not a universal thought. Some people think there should be gun control, others believe that there shouldn't. So it only can be universal if everyone feels the same way, more or less, universal. In this country, there has been talk of universal health care, which we don't have. Some people have insurance, some people don't. So not everybody has it. Universal. But um, we talked about cannibalism in some classes a few days ago. Guess what? Cannibalism throughout the whole world, that's a universal thought that cannibalism, it's bad. Don't do it. Don't eat people. I don't think I have to say that, right? Everybody knows that. It's universal. Everybody knows that. The next one, corroborate. Corroborate. We're often, well, let's read the definition. To support with evidence. And it's often when two people get together. So let's talk about crime. Let's talk about crime. Let's say there was a hit and run in some classes. I think it's the first class, class B, class B. We were talking about somebody, a student, witnessing a hit and run. So what they will try to do to figure out what happened is they will ask a lot of eyewitnesses. And hopefully those eyewitnesses will corroborate each other's information. So corroborate, so we've had the word, didn't we have collaborate? No, maybe we haven't had collaborate yet, but collaborate is working together. Corroborate, it means there's information being tied together. Okay. Corroborate, often used in legal terms, but to support with evidence. Think eyewitnesses corroborate. Hey, they can corroborate their evidence to make a stronger case. Okay, bringing things together. Hopefully that helps. The next one, simultaneous. And a lot of times you'll hear simultaneously. That means definition, happening at the same time, simultaneously, happening at the same time. So I don't know if this could ever happen. I guess it could. But let's say you're sitting in class, which I think you are right now. And then at the end of the day, there's a little tone that comes on to let everybody know they're calling the buses. Best time of the day, right? But what if at the same time, the fire drill started going off, the fire alarm started going off? At the exact same time, we could say the tone for buses and the fire drill went off simultaneously. Big word there, simultaneously. So any time that things are happening at the same time. Ooh, everybody's favorite topic, NWA testing. Oh yeah. So last week, everybody was testing simultaneously. So we often add that ly to describe how something is being done. Okay. It was all happening simultaneously. Hard word to say. Hope that helps. Again, if you have any questions about any of these words, let me know. But what I'm doing is going through, giving definitions, giving examples. If you're watching this on your own, you can always pause it, right? Bisect. Years ago, I always talk about old stories, right? I never did this, but years ago in science class, they might dissect frogs. Dissect. If you think about that, it's cutting up, but it's multiple cuts. Multiple cuts. When you see bi, think two, bicycle has two wheels. Going back to unicycle has one wheel. So bisect. Bisect. If you look at the definition right here, to divide into two equal parts. That is the thing. I got a cough here. Excuse me. Yeah, that's the thing. So two, that's the big thing. So dissect, it means, at least one, but it could be multiple. Bisect, it's to divide into two equal parts. If you look at that pair right there, I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and measure it to make sure they're exactly equal. This isn't math class or anything, but when it's cut in half and you have two equal parts, bisect. Sometimes there is a highway that needs to be built. And sometimes the government has to buy somebody's house. Because if not, the highway might bisect their house, like just go right through it. So a lot of times the government will offer a fair price for the house and the land so they don't have to completely divide the house into two, bisect, going right through two equal parts. Hopefully that helps. The next one, chronologically. Chronologically, ranged in order of time. So we all live our life chronologically from beginning to end. There are some movies, if there are a lot of flashbacks, it might not be told in a chronological order. At one time, and I don't think it is anymore, but social studies class, Mr. Bim's class, if you're talking about history, it was often taught chronologically, starting with the beginning of the United States all the way up to present day. Right. Probably cover the Vietnam War. Right. That's an inside joke for one class. Not that the Vietnam War is a joke. That is not a joke. But in one class, it has been a running joke for a couple days. Chronological order from beginning of time. Time is the big thing. Chronological, it always has something to do with time. So from beginning to end when talking about time. Okay. Hopefully that helps. So you might say something like, let's say a trial again. I don't know why I'm thinking all about trials, but they might go, if you ever have a timeline, that would be told in chronological order. So, or it could be told chronologically. So the trial trying to prove that this crime was committed, they might go through it exactly in chronological order. How did it start? What happened in the middle? How did it end? Chronological order. Next one, reverberate. Reverberate. Let's make that a little bigger. It means to be repeated, as in a series of echoes or vibrations. All right. A lot of times, major historical events, like what has happened. Let's talk about sports. We haven't talked about sports in a while. Tom Brady. We'll go back to him. I'm sure at least everybody has heard of Tom Brady. Okay. Well, if you think back to the day he announced, I'm leaving the Patriots, that news, it reverberated throughout New England. It echoed. Everyone was talking about it. Oh, did you hear about that? I almost think about like when you drop a rock into a pond and you have all those ripples. So it will reverberate. So there's one central thing that happens, and then kind of like that, it affects a whole lot of people. A death in the community, maybe a famous actor that everybody loved and they just died way too soon. The news would reverberate throughout the nation. I think of Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, young guy, seemed like he had his whole life in front of him. Nobody knew that he was battling, was it cancer? And when he died, a lot of people who like Marvel movies and whatever, it was like there was a shock and it was like reverberating throughout that culture. Hope that's clear. Next one. That's it. What do you know? Done. So hopefully with all that, you're like, look at this. Vocabulary number 4 study guide. I'm done. Pass it in. Here you go. All right. I don't know how much time is left in class. What do you think? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? Please, as I always say, use the rest of the time wisely. All right. Adios, amigos.